Hey everybody, welcome back. It's time for another edition of LO News and Updates with me, Axel Gumbel, and our fearless leaders, Principal Aaron Hungerholt and Superintendent Jennifer Backer-Johnson. Welcome back, guys.
Thanks for coming. Thanks.
We are recording this on March 1st, and I bet you can't wait for spring because the snow days have been piling up like something else, right?
Unbelievable.
And we're unfortunately at a point now where you have to consider making some changes because we've had, 5, if not 6 snow days?
Six snow days. So we're at the point now of we have to incorporate e-learning. So within the next few days, our parents will be receiving notification from the district and also each teacher to kind of prep and ready them for if in case we have another emergency close days. We gotta, get them ready.
In an earlier conversation, we had talked about how, generally speaking, LO will not do e-learning days, but because you are at that threshold now of 5 days, and only 2 days for the teachers, really, you just had to make that decision.
Yes, we did.
So,
Very
well. Good.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, other news happening. Aaron, you talked a lot about some new positions, or I shouldn't say new positions, but open positions that you're looking to recruit.
Yep.
What's out there and who are you looking for?
Right now we have science, English, and art positions open. I've been out, I went to Winona State to do some recruiting for teachers and student teachers, try to get new people in the building for student teaching experiences, because a lot of times if you get them in the building, you can keep them. We advertise on EdPost, which is a website through St. Cloud, and local newspapers. Through this process, I'm going to keep going through some other colleges and do some recruiting too, but I talked about some of the obstacles we run into, and it's really not a lot to do with our school or anything going on down here. It's really more about the location. When I interviewed at Winona State, I had a couple of students that wanted to come down here, but they lived over by the Mankato area. Well, we work as the consortium. Well, if they want to come to our consortium, they could stop at Alden or Glenville, and that's an hour closer to them than coming all the way down here. And up to date, we don't get any student teachers from Iowa. So we're really, kind of schools around us kind of have the first dibs just because of location, and really that's what we're fighting. But we're coming up with some ideas of how to get students down here. Could we find homes for them to people host them, things like that. So we're trying to brainstorm of how we can get more student teachers down here, see our district, be part of our district, and then hopefully keep them.
And you also shared earlier that when you go to these universities to do your sort of, I'll call it speed dating these teachers, you talked about how 5, 6, 10 years ago you would have hundreds and hundreds of candidates, and now you go to one of these places and you may just have a few dozen.
We started this probably 10, 12 years ago, then COVID hit, and now we're getting back into it. But before then, 10 years ago, there'd be a ballroom full of a few hundred applicants, or student teachers or potential candidates. Now the other day when I went, 75 maybe that were available this time around. So I don't have the exact numbers, but it was just a different atmosphere of a big ballroom full of applicants or candidates to just a couple of rooms full of people. So
teacher shortage everywhere.
Yep.
Well, if anybody who's watching interested in finding out more, there are open positions. These guys will tell you more about it. So.
Yes, please.
Yes.
All right, some other things going on internally. Jen, several grants have arrived here or will be arriving, and that's always exciting news because who doesn't want free money?
We want free money. That's exactly right. Yeah, we have some really great things going on. So going back to last year, we received a $500,000 grant. It's a COVID grant through the Minnesota Department of Education. So it was a really lengthy narrative we had to submit. But it's all about class size reduction, loss of learning, and how to incorporate interventions to increase the learning back again. Maybe it's to execute new ways to teach and learn in your classroom, whether it's utilizing different types of furniture or curriculum or whatever it may be. But so that was a big grant we received. And the most recent two, one was a $3,000 grant through Southeast Service Co-op right in Rochester there for staff health and wellness. And of course we know that's really important. We want our one of our priorities is to make sure that our staff is not only, of course, doing their job and incorporating student achievements in everything they do, but we want them to do it with a positive attitude and make sure they feel supported. And so that was one of the grants we wrote.
And any ideas yet on how that will be
Not
used?
yet, not yet. We have some ideas, such as maybe, a massage chair. Somebody brought that up to me. Daily journals, things like that have been brought to my attention. So we still have to figure that out
Sure.
a little bit. And then finally, the third one we received is over $50,000, and it's a technology grant. And we're going to use it to get all new iPads for our students and incorporate other things such as new TVs and things like that. But yeah, that was a pretty cool grant that we got too.
When I was in first grade back home in Germany, I still remember we had personal chalkboards.
Big
Right?
deal.
Big deal. Yes, I was very proud. Now my kindergartner tells me about what he did on the iPad today. So
there you
quite
go.
amazing.
There you
Right.
go. So we'll be talking more about it once we kind of get more in motion with it, and we have more details laid out. So we'll keep communicating on that.
Also, a lot of work has been done on deciding on new curriculum for science, English language arts. What's the latest there? Because that is a very long process, really, you've been involved with for a long time here.
Yeah, we are working on this year our English language arts. We have decided for that because it's so personal to the classroom, really, and when you're basing your curriculum, you're looking at state standards. How you get there, purchase brand new shiny books, updating your current stuff, buying things offline, there's different teachers' sites, things like that. So the English language arts, we really went with the more personal in the classroom where the teachers are taking their standards for each grade level and they are putting in the work and creating their curriculum. Updating, we're still purchasing new materials, but really it's stuff that they know their kids, they know what they need to teach with state standards. So we decided to go that way because we feel that's more effective. And even research out there shows that creating your own is more effective than purchasing a commercial type curriculum. Now that said, on the other hand, we're looking at science, and with that is so big and so broad, and the elementary teachers aren't, narrowed in on just science. And high school teachers, we only have 2, but they teach everything. That'd be more of a daunting task for them. So we are purchasing a more of a commercial type curriculum for the science. But once again, you get into price tags of $50,000 to $80,000.
Wow.
And really what you're getting is, material that follows state standards, which that's, you can put those things together, but you get brand new shiny books and all these kind of things. So science, we will go that route. We're working on narrowing it down because the price tag is really what drives us there, and then following the state standards. And then, so hopefully, by this summer, the English language arts will be done, and then science will be purchased. But some of the research shows out there, like when you purchase new curriculum, it takes 6 years to master it. So that's kind of a long time. So if you start balancing between buying a commercial curriculum compared to creating your own, which immediately, common sense just says if you create it immediately and know what the material is, you learned it. So there's some drawbacks and some pros and cons of how we're doing it, but I really think we're doing what's best for the teachers, which in turn is what's best for the kids.
And I would also imagine something like science, once you spend that money, how long would you have it then? 5-10 years?
Yeah, our curriculum cycle, we try to follow MDEs, which is about every 10 years.
Okay.
So they look at, and they can change whenever they want, really. But our cycle is based on standards changing every 10.
Another topic we wanted to touch on was teacher evaluations. That's something you focused on as of late. And I believe the district has kind of switched to a new model to get that done. What can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so we've been using Charlotte Danielson's model for years, which is a good model. It's all about teaching and helping them improve and performance. Jen came in and we talked about change over to the Marzano method. So it's just about how you go about observing the teachers, talking with the teachers, different things you're observing while you're in there, things like that. So our teachers are split up into elementary, middle school, and high school. So they're on a 3-year cycle for evaluations. So they get their formal evaluations once every 3 years. But if you're not on an evaluation cycle, I still do walkthroughs in your classroom. I still do classroom visits. We still do staff development. We still do PLCs, which is your personalized learning communities. So all of those things we're constantly every year working on improving strategies, how to help each other out, working together. So yeah, we have a lot of things going on, and also they do peer reviews with each other, which is always great when your colleagues come in and they get a different set of eyes other than administration. So we do a lot of things to help our teachers improve. We give them the tools. They can go to staff developments outside of the district if they need to. We bring as much in the district as we can. So we really spend a lot of time with those things that really nobody else would really notice those things except administration really getting in the classroom.
And I was just going to ask Jen, what might be, or what motivated you to propose that switch to that new model? What are one or two differences?
Oh, that's a good question. So I kind of started studying the Marzano model years ago. And in other districts that I served, we had that there. So I just kind of started learning about it, grasping it, understanding it, and then of course implementing it. So when I came here, and of course I had the background of Charlotte Danielson, as Aaron's talking about too, but what I liked about the Marzano model, it is a very reflective practice. So we have professional teachers in our midst, and we want to give them the opportunity, with the support of their administrative team, to reflect on their practice. How can I be better? Instead of we telling them how, they're learning on their own. Wait a minute, I made a mistake here, and teachers are notorious for that anyway. But this is just a really nice formalized process to say, hey, wait a minute here. This is what we're seeing also in the rubric, exactly what you're talking about and reflecting on. So usually when you own it, you tend to achieve higher.
It reminds me a little bit of RCD, responsibility-centered discipline,
That's
where
right.
it's no longer top-down, you do this, or you're good at that. It's back and forth,
It's
reflect
all of us
and
together.
share and all that.
Yes,
Very
yes,
well.
absolutely. And like Aaron said too, what's nice with Marzano is it has that component of the peer reflector, we'll call it, and then also he is able to go in more often than just once every 3 years, as Charlotte Danielson really demands. Marzano more is, hey, it's best you're in there because then you can see that tiny bit of growth, talk about it, or even see that tiny bit of stepping backwards a little bit. Let's talk about that before we get too far behind. So
Very good.
that's what's nice about that model too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. Complete switch of topics here. We want to catch up on discussions or the plans for the new scoreboards in the big gym. Big topic late last fall, but some changes have been made.
Yeah, we are noticing we have some older scoreboards, and of course the wiring and everything with the scoreboards is kind of shot. And actually we cannot replace them because they're at that age where they're non-replaceable. And so we made the decision to go forward with new scoreboards. So a scoreboard on each wall, but then on the main scoreboard also have these panels that would show the athlete's number, how many fouls, how many points, things like that. So these really nice panels that you see around. Well, that was a pretty big ticket bill, but we still approved it. We have, long-term facility maintenance money that we can do that with. Well, after kind of doing a little bit more research, and I have to give a lot of credit to our activities director, Carrier, for doing this, but he reached out to quite a few ADs who had those panels. And what he found out was that it's very difficult to learn how to actually manage the panels. And so there was that HR component that we really aren't ready for yet. It's a lot of training, and then the day-to-day operations of it, at an event or whatever it may be. And so we just thought, you know what, maybe now isn't the time, as it relates to, and here's the kicker, we also have to have somebody manage our shot clock starting next year.
Right,
so it's like one thing after another. We're like, you know what, let's just slow down a little bit. And so a request was made to the school board, so I got to give a shout out to them to back off a little bit. And we're not to say that the panels are off the top of the stove, but for now, let's just take them off, and we'll think about it another time. But let's just make sure when we're doing stuff, let's do it right. So the shot clock is our priority.
And speaking of, you mentioned it's not like hundreds and hundreds are running the door here to be game workers.
Right.
That was another factor, I would
It
imagine,
is,
because
yeah.
I think you mentioned that the person who would run these panels can't do anything else.
They cannot, and similar to the shot clock,
yeah, okay,
they can
yeah.
only do that, and that's actually in our bylaws, I believe.
Okay.
So, Yeah, so there's more and more people sitting down at the desk, you
Yeah.
know, during a game or an event, and we just weren't sure we had the manpower to do it. So it's rather be proactive than reactive, or just have plain panels up there and not using them. I don't think that's really in the best interest of our community either.
Yeah, sounds like a
So,
wise decision. Very good.
Yeah.
Well, we'll close it out with another gym theme, and you may have noticed we're in a bit of a different location here today, in the superintendent's office, actually. Jen has made this space available for today. And but look behind us, and Aaron, if you want to quick step out of the way. A piece of LO history that one of you found, I believe. If you want a quick comment on
Oh,
that.
sure.
Have
Okay, I'll
Nancy,
sit
we'll
back
chat
again.
about it, yeah.
So while Aaron and his staff were busy over the course of the summer last summer, switching classrooms and cleaning up and making the performance center, we were moving boxes and all that. Sure enough, there was a shelving unit that was just packed with stuff, but behind it, I noticed part of this was sticking out. So I rolled it out of there, cleaned it up, and here it is now.
And that is wood. And Aaron, any idea how old this is?
What? No idea. No idea how old that is.
We're thinking gym though, because he's wearing his.
It
his
looks like tennis shoes, right?
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
maybe student created. Who knows?
Yeah, it's pretty great. Yeah.
All right, very well. Well, thanks for sharing that. Come on back, Aaron. All right, that'll do it for today, folks. Lots of stuff to talk about. We want to stress we would like to increasingly incorporate community questions or staff questions, student questions, whoever might be watching. We'll try to get the word out as we prepare for the next recording to give everybody a chance to submit questions. I think you're also willing to take questions in person or on the phone, that we can
Email,
maybe get together
phone,
here
yes.
and try to widen the net a little bit, because right now we're kind of focusing on school board discussions, what we're just experiencing here in the building, and so why not cast a wider net sometimes?
Yes.
Very
Love
good.
it. Great.
Well, thanks again for joining as
Yes,
always.
Thank you.
We'll be back with another edition very soon. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.